Well, we want to welcome everybody to the 2017 version of the Racer of the Year Awards. And we are here in Napa of St. Joe, Dale Eaton's establishment, and he's been kind enough to provide us with a little bit of space for us to sit down here and kind of yak a little bit about the racing year. And I think that's kind of where I'd like to start off, Rick, is, boy, this was kind of a different year, I think.
Interesting to say the least, yes.
Some tracks flourished and some tracks were kind of on the edge.
Well, we'll start off with a new track. Not a new track, but a new track for John Bowler promoting it. Resurgence of the track is a good word to use. I tell you what, he came in with a bang. Big sprint car races, big car counts, stock car class second to none this year at US 36 Raceway. I tell you what, for his first year out, John Bowler, excellent job at 36. And I tell you, 35, also another track that flourished. Big car counts each night, averaging like 80, 90 to 100 cars per night. Good fan counts, just a good year for those two tracks.
I don't want to really throw anybody under the bus, but I know of one track this year that I heard, you know, the rumor mill, whatever, but I heard that they'd lost like $1,000 to $1,100 a night.
And that adds up in a hurry.
And
for me, that would be hard for me to go past 2 weeks. You know, so that would hurt in a hurry. And yes, some tracks struggled a little bit this year. We understand Atchison County Raceway is for sale. Let's put it that way. And we have interested parties looking at it. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later as we get on into the show. But again, some tracks, like you said, doing great with good car counts. Other tracks struggling at times.
Yeah, it's a shame because, man, you hate to see any of the dirt tracks go under. I don't care where they are or who it is that runs them or whatever, because talking about Atchison, I know the promoter up there, and I'm trying to slip his name.
Phil Birkinshaw.
Phil Birkinshaw. I'm getting old, folks. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. But Phil put in tremendous amount of work. Yes. I mean, he give it, 3, 4, 5 years? I don't know how long that track's been open, but just
5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Just never really got the people in there that he needed.
Yeah, 6 years.
To pay the bills. And like you say, man, you can't have pockets deep enough for that.
No.
You got to give sooner or later.
No. And how do you say it? He done everything he could possibly do, letting people 16 years of age and under in free, offering big money if he could get so many fans in the stand still. Just did not work out for him good. So the track up for sale, interested parties, and we more to use on that as we go along. So
I heard there's been some interest, but it's just hasn't developed yet. And like I say, I hope something goes, because I'll be honest with you, if you want to go see some good racing, it's tough to beat Atchison County. I don't care what they say. The USMTS run there put on a heck of a show, and just the weekly racers that he had that came there, why, it was some really good racing.
High bank, smooth racetrack.
Right, absolutely right.
Yeah.
But that, to me, that's kind of what we've been looking at this year in racing here in the Kansas City area. But I think what we really ought to get into here is the achievement of what racers have done all year.
Yeah.
And I know, and I apologize right off the bat, we're going to leave somebody out.
I'm sure we will. How do you say it? It's hard in the time limit we have. It is hard for us to get everybody involved in it and give credit where credit's due to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and let's go ahead and throw something out that did happen a year ago. You and I was talking about who was going to win the stock car points,
yes,
you know,
yes, at 35.
Yeah, and at the end of the year, Jason Estes picks up the stock car championship and like 7 wins on the year, and he comes up to me and you and says, and by the way, you didn't even pick me to win a race. You know? So that shows the talent we have in picking cars, you know.
Yeah.
Jason, will give you credit this year. You had an outstanding year. When you raced, you were a threat to win.
Exactly.
Where you went. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think what happened with Jason, if I could kind of sort of apologize, was that the year before, because we did a pre-race deal, and the year before he had either missed part of the season or just financial, I don't know, but he just hadn't really been in the mix, and we just kind of left him off.
Yeah, and he let us know. That was good.
Well,
that was good.
All I can say is if it gives anybody any incentive to maybe do better, then good for them.
Yeah. So we're going to start out with the Grand National class, I think, Mike. I tell you, a couple of names come right to the forefront. One of them you witnessed a lot at Lakeside. He was the point champion, 4 wins and 32nd was Nick Newton. Very good job in that 711 car is what he drove most of the time.
Yes.
Nice job for him. And up at I-35 Speedway, good friend of mine, very familiar with him. He picked up the point championship. He's been so close so many years. He finally closed the deal this year with 8 wins, 3 seconds. That was Donnie Brown in that car number 26. So, I mean, good job by him behind the wheel of that car.
Well, and I think that's who we're going to give it to for this year, for 2017. Donnie Brown, buddy. You're the racer of the year in the Grand Nationals. I know there's some other people that we probably ought to throw in there. And like I say, I know we're going to miss somebody, but they seem to be the 2 that really stood out.
Yeah, and you had several people picking up wins. Let's throw a shout out to Billy Hoover. Good job by him driving the car number 97 for Mike Johnson Racing. Very good job by him as he picked up, if I'm not mistaken, 4 feature wins on the year also. Really nice year for him. Had some issues midway through the season, but a good run for him. The 0R, if I can think of his name right quick. Chad Fuller.
Okay.
Chad Fuller picking up feature wins. How do you say it? Picked up his first ever feature win of his whole racing career. Now, he goes all the way back to the Savannah days.
Oh, wow.
Picked up his first ever feature win and added 3 more wins to go with it. So he also had a good year at I-35 Speedway, too. But I agree with you. Donnie Brown out of Lancaster, Kansas, just a good year for him behind the wheel of that race car.
A young man that I'm pretty sure it was his first year at Lakeside was Tim Shields' boy. And,
yes.
And there again, I can't think of the first name. I'm getting old, but anyway, but he had a really good season at Lakeside also.
Yeah,
and I think he had a win or 2.
Yeah, and he had several wins. He came to I-35. It was in contention to win, and a little bit of contact with another car took him out of contention that night. But yes, very fast in that car. You know, kind of prepared by Tim Shields, because early in the season, Tim was also driving the Grand National. Young man blew an engine, and Tim, being a father, being the gentleman he is, steps aside, lets his son take that car, you know, and real good year for him.
Yeah, I bet those guys that do that, they're in the pits.
Chomping their teeth, you know,
biting their nails, because I can't imagine. I remember when my son wrestled, how, I mean, when he was on the bottom, I was, kind of laying there myself, kind of going like that, thinking about it, and I'm sure they do the same thing. But I'm hoping the Grand Nationals will come back, because did they or did they not at I-35 start out this year as Chargers?
No, last year they were Chargers. They did start out again this year as Grand Nationals.
Okay.
Yes.
But like I say, just to have the look of a late model out there is a really good deal, and I think the fans really appreciate that and enjoy it. If we could just get some more racers to enjoy it some
and
more,
I'm glad you mentioned
get the class a little bigger.
That word late model, because news on Donnie Brown, he does have a late model. He will be driving ULMA late models next year quite a bit. So he is going to move up. He said, don't forget about him in the Grand National class, because he is going to slip in and run a few Grand National races. Also, his brother John Brown runs Grand National. He's going to be helping him. But again, Donnie Brown going to be driving a late model.
He had told me that right toward the end of the season, and I think he said something about his brother.
Yeah, John
may also be running ULMA with him.
Off and on, but he's going to mostly focus. I think John is wanting to win a championship in that Grand National class. As John, a former champion in the E-modified class.
Yeah. So that's going to be a pretty big step for them, because quite a bit different cars that they're running in ULMA compared to the Charger class. So it'll be a learning curve for both of them for a while, I'm sure. So don't expect them to run right out there and win a few. It'll probably take them a little bit.
Yeah, because you got those little names like Aaron Morant, people like that run. You know, that's the guys you got to beat. So,
exactly. Yeah. And there's some other guys in that ULMA series that are really tough.
Any given night.
Yeah.
Any of them.
We're going to move on to the pure stocks, and I have kind of included a class down at CMS. I can't remember what they call it down there, whether it's super stock or something, but it's pretty similar to the stock cars. Of course, we're talking about USRA stock cars, but the fellow from CMS is Roger Dethridge, and he was a CMS champ down there, and he had 2 wins in 3 seconds. And then from Lakeside, we've got Marshall Jewett, and he was the champ at Lakeside also. He had 4 wins and 6 seconds. So that's pretty close.
Pretty close.
But
let's throw one more name out there that I'm really familiar with. Cletus Murray. The old Mudcat is what we call him.
Yeah.
He at US 36 and I-35 Speedway, he won the points at both. He also won the Northwest Missouri State Point Championships too. 11 wins on the year for Cletus Murray in that car, the 21M car. Tell you what, the Mudcat, very fast and hard to handle. And when he was there, it wasn't like he ran good this week and didn't next week. He was always in the hunt and in the mix in that car. I tell you, Cletus Murray would have to be my vote, but again, it goes to you. You know?
It goes to me. Well, sort of.
Yeah.
Me and Rick kind of talked it over, so I'll take most of the responsibility if you want to put it on my shoulders, but whatever. But I agree with Rick. I think Cletus Murray is going to have to take this because I seen him run at least 2 or 3 different tracks, and man, he was tough at all of them. Did I see him at Atchison?
Yes, you saw him at Atchison. You also saw him at Lakeside a couple of times.
Yes, that's what I thought.
You would see him anywhere. He even raced after, how do you say it, the season around here ended. He went to some other tracks down in close to Oklahoma, places like that, and raced also. He will race anywhere, and he's competitive anywhere he goes.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Now, had he been out of racing? Seems like I thought he.
If I'm not mistaken, 12 years is what he told me that he had been out of racing.
12.
Roughly 12 years.
And come back this year.
Come back this year. Well, he raced right from about halfway last season, a little past halfway last season, toward the end of the season, and you realized then he was going to be a contender.
Right.
You could just tell by the way he was in the car, he was going to be a contender. He came out with a vengeance, 2 track championships, and the Northwest Missouri Point Championship.
It's unreal, isn't it, to come
back
out of retirement like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cletus, congratulations, man. You're driver of the year in the Pure Stocks. Should we move on?
Yes. And you want to go to E-Modified next?
No, let's do stock cars.
Okay, stock cars coming up. Again, we can start with Albie Christopherson. He was the US 36 champion and did not have a feature win during the regular season. But when we had Champions Night, he would pick up both the qualifier and the feature championship.
Oh, really?
By the way, he was pretty proud of beating John Bowler, the boss man, that night. So he did pick up the win that night at 36. So he did actually have 2 wins on the season.
Yeah.
But he was your 36 champ without a feature win.
Well,
matter of fact, top 3 in points did not have a feature win.
Of course, to me, what that says is consistency.
Consistency.
And I don't care what you do, whether it's riding bicycles or what. If you're going to be the points champ, you've got to be consistent.
Yes, you do. Consistency, how do you say it, wins championships. And most of the time, the championships are won not only on the track, but in the shop, because that car has to finish races.
Yeah.
So good job by him. Brett Wood, you're more familiar with him than I would be.
I don't know exactly how many he won down there. I've got 1 win in 6 seconds, and that
again,
just
consistency
came off the website. But still, to be that close, but still that far away, so to speak. Why that still puts him pretty much in the heat there. But CMS, they have a very competitive field of that class of cars down there, and anybody that can, win that championship down there, they've done something.
And then you got Brad Heater.
Oh gosh!
You can't say enough about Brad Heater and that 05 car. Him and Bobby Heater, his dad, working together. Very family oriented team. Lakeside Speedway Track Championship, 15 feature wins on the year, and that is just incredible.
Yeah. Now, Brett, I had the opportunity to watch him, just about all season, because I think I only missed 3 or 4 nights at Lakeside, and it seemed like most of the time the first part of the race, and this is one thing about Brett that I really like, is being so young as he is, but being so patient. But the first part of the race, of course, a lot of times he'd be starting 7th or 8th with turning the field around, but he would slowly work his way up through there. But Bo, I'm telling you, once he got in the lead, look out. I mean, it was a half a track or whatever, but just cleaned house over there. And I know he came to 35 and ran a couple of times. Of course, ran the championships up there. How did that go up there when he came?
Back in the pack, how do you say it? Traffic kind of seemed to bother him just a little bit. Pretty good, but not as good as he would have liked. Of course, he wanted to win. Brett's a winner. But not quite as good as he wanted to. But still had a good nationals.
He was very close.
Yep. And talking about people that had good nationals and just a good year, let's talk about Dean Ray, old Hollywood himself, I-35 Speedway track champion, 19 feature wins on the year, 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable. Unreal. And one of the guys that beat him this year was Brett Heater. They went at it 3 times up there at I-35 Speedway regular season. Let's just leave the nationals out of that, but regular season, Dean winning 2 of them, Brett winning 1 of them. That just shows you the consistency of these 2 drivers always around the front. Let's throw another name in there that really started running good right at the end of the season. That is Gary Donaldson.
Yeah, he did.
28D car, he ended up winning the last race of the year at I-35 Speedway. Another guy that had a pretty good year, picked up a feature win. How about old John Bowler? I mean, I know he's getting up in years and everything, but he was still pretty consistent out on the racetrack. Pretty good year in car number 20X. So
that's pretty good when you can mix up that driving part and then working at another track, and
and we talk about the 20X. That car was also seen at US 36 Raceway with a different driver behind the wheel. Chad Clancy picking up three feature wins in that car number 20XX at 36. So pretty good race car out there underneath.
Yeah. Well, Heater had quite a bit of I can't think of the word, competition at Lakeside also, and of course the 417. Used to give him a really hard time, but it just seemed like the Heaters just had their stuff so much together. But I'm not taking anything away from Dean. When I first started hearing about I-35 or going up there to actually shoot video or whatever, Dean was one of the names that I always heard.
Well, he raced everything from A-Mod to Grand National, you name it, he raced it. Actually raced Ben-Hur in a Chariot one time and said he did win. He wanted everybody to know he did win. But let's talk about the 417. You mentioned him, Kevin Anderson.
Kevin Anderson.
He came up and to US 36 Raceway and run our big stock car race, and he won. He picked up the feature win up at US 36 Raceway at 417. So, and again, him and Dean Ray and another name in there, Jason Estes. We've already talked a little bit about him. Him and Kevin Anderson put on a show. As they were halfway through the feature, here would come the 997 Estes, pass him on the high side, running in a different zip code than everybody else in turn number 4. But in the end, Anderson held his line and picked up that feature win at 36. Nice job by him. So, and moving along.
Anyway, congratulations, Dean. Racer of the Year, buddy. You deserve it. I mean,
I tell
19
you what,
wins. You must have had a good time.
That was one of them. Him and Brett Heater, so close, so close. So honorable mention for Brett Heater for the job he done behind the wheel. Also,
I gave him more than that. I give him close runner-up.
I tell you what, it was very good.
Yeah, we do have E-Mods right there.
Yep.
We're going to go into the E-Mods, and there again, we're going to name some people here that you probably don't recognize. Jeremy Curlis.
Jeremy Curlis.
Had 5 wins in 8 seconds. And then what track did he mostly run at? Do you know? Was that CMS?
That would have to be CMS.
Okay, I should have put that there, and I didn't. And then Randy Smith, he was the champ at 36.
Also the champ at I-35.
Also 35.
And he had 12 wins, 5 seconds. He also was your Northwest Missouri Championship champion also. And then you come to Billy Spillman. He was the Lakeside Speedway Track Championship. 4 wins down there. Matter of fact, only a couple of guys able to pull off a win against him at Lakeside, so he had a very good year. Also picked up a win at US 36 Raceway and picked up 1 win at I-35 Speedway this year, the last race of the season.
And that E-Mod class is also starting to be a pretty good deal, even though it's younger drivers, and I think might even be a few guys that are slipping back out of B-Mods.
They are veteran drivers coming back, racing, how do you say it, what they can afford to race.
Right.
E-Modified, kind of explain that, it's not a beginner's class by any means, it is an economy class, is what it's set out to be, affordable racing.
Right.
If there's such a thing.
Now,
that's affordable racing.
I forgot about this. Is USRA changing the classes around next year? I thought I heard something about that the A-Mods are going to be called another class, and the B-Mods are stepping up, and the E-Mod, it's changing. Probably have to get on USRA.
E-Modifieds, there was talk about sanctioning the E-Modifieds. They did not sanction them. I know they are letting the stock cars run the quick change and a different transmission and things. As far as changing the names, I'm not sure. I would have to,
I'll blame that on Curtis Morrison for telling me that.
Yeah,
But they were telling me that there's supposed to be some big changes in the USRA next year. So.
Yep.
But anyway, we've got to pick one of these guys, and I guess if you're going to go by wins and seconds, we're going to go with Randy Smith.
Yeah, and the two-track championships.
championships.
It takes a lot of effort to run two tracks. That way.
Boy.
It really does. So,
It sure does. And congratulations, Randy, on having a great year, buddy.
He's a dandy.
I don't know if you're going to be back in E-Mods next year. That's one thing I always think about Brett Heater.
Yep.
Is as young as he is, why he's going to be stepping up, going to another class or doing something. So.
And understand, probably going to see Randy Smith Jr. in a sport mod next year. Is what we're thinking. So.
Okay. Well, the next class is really a really tough class anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably has the largest car counts.
Yeah.
It has more drivers dropping down from A mod into the B mods, and I'm telling you, you better have your stuff together if you're going to rate a B mod. I think there again, it started out a few years back in a class that was there again, not necessarily beginners, but people that didn't have the money to run A mod wanted to run B mod.
Yeah, and sometimes years ago it was kind of the hand-me-down cars from the A mod class, and things of that nature. But how quickly that changed. New chassis, you're even seeing brand new chassis now in the E modified division as well. But I tell you what, B modified, a very competitive class, very good race class. As I noticed, you got Tim Eaton. He was your US 36 track champion, with 7 wins. He also picked up a win at the Nationals. I want to put that out there too.
Oh yeah, I saw the video.
Yeah. And very good year for Tim Eaton behind the wheel of that. He even picked up a stock car win at 36 this year. He was pretty happy beating dear old dad in the stock car class, But Tim Eaton with an outstanding year.
Yeah. Tim's, I think he might have been runner-up last year, if I remember right.
He was a runner-up a year ago.
I can't remember for sure, or 2 years ago when we did this.
Yeah.
But Tim's always right in the middle of it, so anytime you go there, is it 7-11 or 4-11? I can't remember.
2-11.
2-11. Well, you want to watch for the 2-11.
And that's the dates of his kids being born.
Oh, is it really? Oh, that's pretty neat. Yep. Okay. Jacob Ebert, I mean, that guy, he's just been a
terror behind the wheel of a B modified.
Down at CMS, 5 wins in 5 seconds. I think a couple of those guys kind of edged in on him a little bit this year and got some of the wins. But Jacob's always been tough down there. I believe he came to 35. I was thinking I seen him in a race up there.
Saw him one time at 35 this year. Also one time at 36 this year. So he didn't venture out a whole lot, but he ventured out some.
Well, and I give those guys credit to travel a little bit. We talked about that 2 years ago. In fact, I think we put a little bit more emphasis on that with the guys traveling, how much harder it is to go on different tracks and still be able to win. And
because each track has its own personality. The adjustments it takes, the fine tuning it takes, the pit work it takes. It is a real effort to run more than one track. It really is.
When I think of that, of course, I was thinking of Terry Schultz, and when he won the Racer of the Year award, I think it was 2 years ago. How many tracks he went to? I think I seen him at Nevada, Lakeside, CMS, 35. I mean, you name it, he probably ran there. But anyway. You want to talk about Doug?
Yeah, Doug Keller had 4 wins on the year, and he had 4 seconds, and he had wins at 2 different tracks, which was I-35 Speedway and also US 36 Raceway. And Doug looked like he was on a fast track to maybe win both championships and the Northwest Missouri State points. And then four-wheeler incident, injury to his shoulder took him out from behind the wheel of the race car about 3/4 way through the season. Still managed to come home 4th in points at US 36 Raceway. I tell you what, I felt sorry for Doug because he had such a year going, but he is rebuilding. We'll be back next year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw him over at Atchison once or twice when I was over there for some shows over there. Always ran good. Bud Wilson, I-35 champ, 4 wins.
2 different race cars. Start out the year in the car number 20X. Ended the year in the Mike Tanner prepared car. I can't remember the number right offhand.
20 something?
22. 22. The 22 car. Bud Wilson doing a nice job behind the wheel of both race cars, picking up 4 feature wins on the year. Nice job by him.
Well, and then we get to Andy Bryant.
And that's a guy that anywhere he goes, threat to win.
Now, I'm not going to say he had an unfair advantage, but he was a factory driver for Billy Moyer in the Victory race cars, I believe is the name of those.
Yes.
But I had him for 10 wins at Lakeside alone. Now, I don't keep up with him the rest of the time, so who knows how many more he had. But without a doubt, Andy would probably have to be the top choice this year for B-Mods as far as being the driver of the year.
Yeah, and had wins down at Lucas Oil, which is a hard racetrack to win on. And just I tell you what, Andy Bryant with a stellar year. Coming home, if I'm not mistaken, second or third in national points. And, you know, even though he had the stellar year he had, still was not satisfied. He wanted that national win, and he wanted that national point championship. So
I keep telling him if he wins the points, the national points deal, I'll come down and interview him.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to drive to Fort Scott.
I'll tell you what, Andy Bryant, how you say it, just a great year.
Yeah, without a doubt. We have to give it to Andy just on account of the performance that he had all year, and
the travel,
and the travel and everything, all the tracks. But we've got some guys here that we've got for honorable mention. I think it'd only be fair, like I say, it's such a large and competitive class anymore. What about Tony Lane? Now he was the points champion out at Valley Speedway with 2 wins and 15 top 5s.
Only his second year behind the wheel of an open wheel. He went from the Midwest Lightning Sprints, jumped up to the A Modifieds, actually IMCA A Modified, and then he comes back in the B Modified division this year. But great year for Tony.
Yeah, it really was for Tony.
Yeah. Randy Ainsworth kind of had one of those years mid-season, struggled just a little bit, found it again toward the end of the year, but Randy Ainsworth, that 57 car, future Hall of Famer for sure. Out of Excelsior Springs, just a true gentleman in the racing community.
A couple of guys from Lakeside that I wanted to mention was Shadron Turner.
Yeah.
He ran a 35 quite a bit, I think, this year too.
Run 36 quite a bit too. He was split his time between 36 and Lakeside Speedway on Friday nights. He had 3 feature wins at US 36 Raceway and had 2 feature wins at I-35 Speedway.
Well, you must have a photographic memory.
No, it's how you say it, the useless information nobody needs to know is what I remember, you know. Now, ask me something important I need to know. Nah, forget that.
Forget that. Another one from Lakeside that I think we really need to mention who, there again, doesn't travel a lot, but boy, the races at Lakeside, he was always in the top 5, if not the top 3, and that's Tim Powell.
Yeah.
A terrific year for Tim.
And Tim, always one of those drivers, too. You know, it's kind of, where did he come from? You're watching the finish of the race. He's always in the top 3, and a lot of times he can pick through lanes. He is a threat to win. But Tim Powell, very good driver in that 57 car, you know. And
we'd really be not saying what we should if we didn't mention Jake Richards. Jake probably had as good a year this year as he's had in, 2 or 3 years since he's really gotten back into racing.
And running for the national points too. He was in the mix plumb up until the nationals, and then kind of faded just a little bit at the very end. But Jake Richards, good year for him, as he had a win at US 36 Raceway and had a win at I-35 Speedway both. So he very versatile, showing the versatility in his driving skills. You know, win on any track.
Without a doubt. But anyway, we really wanted to throw those guys in there because it's such a big class, and I know you race fans, you're going to have your favorite driver, and so-and-so should have been included, and we're sorry about that, but these are just some of them that we came up with. But anyway, Andy, congratulations, buddy, on a terrific year. And
Fort Scott, Kansas, going to be dancing now.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well, I guess we're down to the big dogs.
Yep, and let's go ahead and talk about Zach Sanders, the old Zach attack, because one night up at US 36 Raceway, he got out front and he all but lapped the field.
Yeah.
And I wrote in the press release that night, I said everyone in the A modified class realized they got Zach attack for sure. And he was US 36 champion. He had 3 feature wins on the year at US 36 Raceway. Picked up the feature win at I-35 Speedway also. Now, his year did not go without some turmoil and some problems, because he had a horrendous wreck on the front straightaway at 36. Kind of got in the wall, rolled that race car, came back, still won the point championship. So.
I have to tell you a little story about that since my wife's here. I was up there videoing that night, and I can't remember if they were the first class or what, but she had to go to the restroom. So I had to take her over to the restroom, and when I got back, everybody was all on the
Everything
frustrated. Everything was all piled up, and I thought, man, I wonder what happened. And somebody says, "Did you get that?" And I said, "No." But anyway.
But you know, I do have video of that. Believe it or not, my grandson Marcus was there that night, and he has video of that.
Does he really?
He really does. He's coming right along with the old video camera, so you know, he's doing well. Yeah.
Okay. Another one that we need to mention is Jim Moody from CMS, and he was points champion down there with 5 wins in 3 seconds. And Jim, as usual, at 36, I can't remember who it was. I was talking to another racer down there when they were having their Memorial Day races, and they told me, they said, well, Jim's just got it figured out.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, CMS, yeah.
Yeah, he's just got it figured out.
Yeah.
And if you're going to win down there, you got to beat Jim. But of course, there again, Jim's another one of them this year that's talking about cutting back. Kids are getting older, more sports in school and stuff. Wants to take some time off.
And run a lot of B-Mod also this last year too.
He did.
Double
He
duty,
did.
so yeah.
But he didn't say he wouldn't race. He just said he wasn't going to own a car.
Right, and they usually say that right before they go to driving full time next year. You know?
For somebody else.
But to me, Jim Moody is one of those lead-footed drivers, and when I say lead-foot, I mean it in a good way. I don't mean he's just flat out and don't pay attention.
He's on the hammer all the time.
He is on the hammer, and he can work traffic about as good as any driver I've ever witnessed. So Jim Moody, just a good A-modified driver.
Yeah. You want to talk about Derek?
Derek Hicks. Derek Hicks from I-35 Speedway. How do you say it? A lot of times he goes in and is known as the underdog.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to take that label off of him now, as he picked up 4 feature wins, and on national night, the first night out, he came in 3rd place against some of the heavy hitters. And when I say 3rd, it was a close 3rd place against the heavy hitters up there in the national class. Derek Hicks in that 78 car. Family always travels with him. Dad is his crew chief on that race car. But Derek Hicks, very good job out of Ravenwood, Missouri. Kind of pulls from a little different area than most people do. But really good year for him. Came home 2nd in the points. Won the Northwest Missouri State points.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and run very good at Bethany with a 2nd place finish up there. But nice job by Derek Hicks this year.
He seemed like to me one of those guys that you didn't really notice.
Yeah.
And not any sponsors on the car, if I remember right. Very few.
Not on it. River Valley Ag, Mark Hoover is a sponsor on that race car. It is a old Hughes chassis that was kind of pulled out of a fence line and welded back together. But I tell you what, Derek Hicks, how do you say it? Put him in anything, he can wheel it. He'll figure out a way to get around the racetrack. And I've got to do his wife justice. She went out in the Powder Puff on Fun Night at US 36 Raceway and won the Powder Puff Derby in that race car. And Derek was a nervous wreck while she was out there, but he survived. He did survive it. But Derek Hicks, just a good guy, level-headed guy, just a good driver.
I remember some of them from the old Riverside racetrack. Ain't too many tracks do Powder Puffs anymore, but gosh, some of them women was absolutely crazy. I thought, man, I don't even know if I want to drive on the street with them. But anyway, that gets us down to Nick Benninger, and he was a Lakeside champ, had 7 wins. It seemed like when the season started out, I thought, oh, Kerry Davis is going to
walk away with
pull this thing again, you know. But I don't know if it was after the track dried out or whether they took Kerry's line away. And Nick, because Nick, I think, ran a high line most of the time, right up against that cushion in the wall up there.
Yeah.
And boy, once he got started, he reeled off a bunch of them there.
Yeah, and a new chassis to him too, and everything. And I think it took him a little while to get that car figured out. Also, a feature win at I-35 Speedway. He was leading that race. Derek Hicks was running 2nd. Kind of had a comfortable lead. Slipped over the berm in turn number 4. You know. Gathers it back up, has to run down Derek again. And when I interviewed him, I said, I tell you what, Nick, I thought you gave it up. He looked at me and said, I did too. He said, but lucky enough, he was able, Derek held his line, and that allowed him to race back by him. But good race in action, but again, picking up a win there. Seems like when Nick Benninger comes to I-35, he wins. He's good on that racetrack. He can figure out that high line that a lot of people can't.
He had a little trouble in Nationals, though, didn't he?
Yeah, not sure. Not 100% sure. Did not really see what all went on up there. I know he came to 35 earlier in the year. Hot lap, looked like one of the fastest cars. Loaded the car. I did understand that engine problems, oil pressure dropped
Yeah.
on that car, and come to find out, he would have been okay. It was the gauge.
Yeah.
But not knowing that, they were actually afraid to race that car that night,
gee.
which I understand. That's a lot
Yeah.
of money to go up
Yeah,
in smoke. So.
without a doubt. Yeah.
But again, Nick Benninger, what a year for him in that
Good year.
in that 3B car.
Good year. Him and his dad really work at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's go to Dennis Elliott again, picking up the track championship. Will be his third in a row, a three-peat for
Yeah.
Dennis Elliott up at I-35 Speedway. Did not walk away with it. Derek Hicks
Yeah.
challenged him to the very end. Also, honorable mentions would be like Houston Johnson and his brother Austin Johnson. Both of those were in the mix all year too, as they were running there consistently. But Dennis Elliott, 7 wins on the year and 5
Yeah.
second places, always around the front when it comes to the end of a race.
Well, and I think the other thing that impresses me about Dennis is that where I-35 is located, they get a lot of people from Iowa that come down because if it's a rain out or whatever,
Yeah.
they still wanting those USRA points.
Yeah.
So they come down to 35 and run, and there's old Dennis. I mean, if he's not winning, he's going to be in the top 3,
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
And he pulls from Mount Ayr, Iowa, so
Yeah.
he is up Iowegian. He comes visiting, you
Yeah.
know. But Dennis, always consistent. And how do you say it? When he unloads that car, not a speck of dirt on it.
Yeah.
You know, I've even seen him down there, you know, scratching a little bit of smudges off of it. Always brings a beautiful race car and tries to load it just as clean as he
Yeah.
unloads
Yeah.
it. You know.
There again, folks, there are a bunch of names that
Yeah.
we could add to this. I mean, these are the guys that just kind of stand out because they won points championships or have quite a few wins, but there's just a lot of people out there that we
And
could throw in
honorable
there.
mention, I'd like to mention Mark Dawson. He'd been
Yeah.
on the USMTS tour, and then he went to late model for a while. He comes back and he picks up, if I'm not mistaken, 5 wins
Now, wait a minute.
himself at US36. Mark Dawson, Fluffy.
Fluffy.
Everybody knows who Fluffy is.
Fluffy.
Mark Dawson in that 85 car.
Yeah.
Tri-River Logging on the side of that
Right.
race car. But Mark Dawson with a great year this year. Had back surgery toward the end of the season. He said minor back surgery. I didn't know there's such a thing. But he did come back at the end of the year. But second place in the points for him and just a good year for him in that 85
Yeah.
car. So honorable mention to Mark coming back to a modified after running late model.
Yeah. Darren Fuqua, I have to give him an honorable mention. Got a brand new car. I think first 2 nights out with it won. Went down to CMS and won one of the big money shows down there. There again, Kerry Davis started out the year just fantastic. But like I say, man, there are a bunch of guys CMS we could throw in there that
Darren
race there every
Fuqua
week.
winning a feature at I-35 Speedway this year. 2 of them, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So
There's just a bunch, and I apologize if we didn't mention your guy, but Rick, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going with Dennis Elliott for the Racer of the Year, and part of the reason I'm doing it is not only what he accomplished this year, but what he's done in the last 3 years.
yeah.
Plus, I understand he's cutting back on his racing deal too.
Yeah.
From what I understand, I know the last night he raced pretty emotional deal there in Winter Circle.
It was. And Dennis, how do you say it with him? To win 1 championship is amazing. To do it 3 consecutive years is also very. I mean, that's just a feat because everybody's gunning for you.
Yeah.
Everybody's gunning for you.
Without a doubt, yeah.
And did not race a full season, missed some races at I-35, and still come away with that championship. So I've got to agree with you on that one.
I think that Nick had a terrific year at Lakeside, but just going on consistency 3 years in a row, I give it to Dennis. Dennis, congratulations, buddy, on a great year. Hope we still get to see you quite a bit next year. You don't cut back that much. But there again, I think the same thing I heard from Dennis was kids are getting older, more stuff in schools. I got to take some more time for the family.
Yeah, and congratulations, Big Daddy. Mount Ayr, Iowa, very happy. Good job in the 29.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that completes the drivers.